What's up, my bearded brothers? Maine-iac here with my award picks for the year. This one video is going to be short and sweet. I'm going to do a little explanation of why I have each person winning the award. I don't care about other candidates, but I care about these guys. James Harden for MVP. My explanation: he had an incredible year, led his team to the best record, had a 60-point triple-double throughout the year, did exactly what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and to me, he played both sides of the floor a little better than LeBron. Didn't get as many turnovers as LeBron. Didn't get as many balls as LeBron. Also, LeBron had probably a higher usage, which could lend itself to turnovers. But he averaged over 30 points a game, I believe, and he led his team to the best record. Now, he had a very strong candidacy for MVP last year, but Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double. Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double again this year, but the triple-double itself wasn't as impressive because the assists and rebounds were barely over 10. So it's kind of, your triple-double was better last year, and Harden wasn't as good last year as he was this year. I think Harden gets it. Coach of the year to me goes to Brad Stevens. No coach has overcome nearly as much, losing their big star, big signing, first game of the year 5 minutes in, losing their second biggest star with like a month and a half to go, 2 months to go, losing your third biggest star for an extended period of time, having to rely eventually on one point, I think you had 8 or 9 rookies playing in a game, or 6 rookies playing in a game because all your veterans were hurt. He also made smart moves in how he coached, how he changed his game plan game per game, the way he adjusted Houston to pull off the upset there, just the way he coaches young players like Jason Tatum to get him pro ready, to get Jaylen Brown to improve his step in the role, without their best defensive player, Marcus Smart, as well for a huge chunk of the year. Just super impressive to me by Brad Stevens. Most improved player of the year, let's go to that category. I have Oladipo winning that. It's more of a situation, goes to a weaker conference in the East, becomes the number 1 over the possible number 2 or 3, because I believe Adams was the number 2 in OKC last year. Oladipo's more consistent this year, shooting better this year, leading a team this year. I think the situation itself is the most improved situation. I think he has tremendously outplayed his whole career statistics. I think hands down most improved player of the year. Executive of the year, that is a tough one. I don't usually do this one, but I would have to possibly go. Pause that one. Defensive player of the year, I'm going to go Anthony Davis. Led the league in blocks, had a tremendous amount of rebounds. Defensively led his unit, like he led his team, yes, offensively, but he also led his team defensively. He's played both sides of the floor. Without his defensive leadership, I don't know if the Pelicans even make the playoffs this year. To me, he was just the heart and soul of that defense. And yeah, Gobert is a tremendous defender with tremendous length. The Stifle Tower is not one to be feared, but to me, Anthony Davis wins that matchup. I think it will be close, though. We did MVP, we did Coach of the Year, we did Most Improved, we did Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. To me, I have Donovan Mitchell. A couple of factors. The East is weaker. Yeah, the 76ers did go up on a tear at the end of the year with no Embiid or whatever, but they also played a lot of tanking teams. When I compare statistics, like important statistics to me, Mitchell broke the single season record for threes by a rookie. Simmons didn't make a single one. Simmons averaged 3.1 turnovers per game, I think, and Mitchell only averaged like 2.7. That's not a lot, but that's like 32 more turnovers, so it just looks like a lot more. Also, Mitchell had a lot less to work with. He didn't have an Embiid-type player on his team to help him beat up a weaker conference. He did have a Gobert on defense, but Gobert's not nearly the talent on offense that Embiid is. And Embiid is tremendously scary on defense as well. I think the lack of range is going to be what hurts Ben Simmons' situation for me. Even if he didn't have much range, he's playing point guard, or even as a small forward or whatever position he naturally plays. Even if he played 2 guard, you would expect to have some range. If you have a perimeter player like that who has no range whatsoever, It's a huge concern and a huge detriment to their case. If he was even, like, let's say 20 for 90 from 3, it would show he had some range capabilities, but he didn't even make a single 3. And that is just not okay for me in today's NBA. Now, for Executive of the Year, I'm gonna have to go Danny Ainge here. Now, it could be many people. Could be there's many deserving executives for what they pulled off. But for me, the things that Ainge pulled off in getting Monroe after Hayward went down. First of all, pulling off the Hayward signing in the first place. Getting the Kyrie Irving trade where you trade away a defensive liability in Isaiah Thomas, who coming off an injury at the peak of his value, even though he just had surgery. Trading that first round pick, knowing, like somehow, like in your mind, it felt like knowing the Nets were gonna step up, because I think they're gonna be projected to get like the 8th overall pick, and just getting all those puzzles pieces together. Trading that, I think the first thing in my mind that launched Danny Ainge into Executive of the Year this year was that trade they pulled off last year in the draft. I believe they traded their first overall pick to the 76ers for the 3rd overall pick, knowing they were going to draft the same exact player with the pick. It reminds me of last year when San Fran traded with Chicago in the NFL draft, and all Chicago did was move up one to draft a player that San Fran had no want to get. So Philly did that. They drafted Markelle Fultz, who missed like 60-something games this year. And the Celtics drafted Jason Tatum, who they were probably going to draft number 1 overall anyway, and got another first-round pick in return. It is incredible how they pulled that off. It's incredible what they did with the Kyrie Irving trade, with the Morris signing, with the Monroe signing, with all those rookies they played out, and how he constructed that roster. I like it. Even going with returning 4 starters, but getting somehow all those new pieces. Granted, Brad Stevens gets a lot of the credit, that's why he's Coach of the Year, but I think it's a duo. I think Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know who you think's going to win each award. And, let's start a discussion. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.